Go ahead and title your notes unicellular versus multicellular. In this set of notes, we're going to talk about the difference between those two types of organisms, and then we're also going to look at body systems. So go ahead and write this down. You don't have to draw the picture unless you just want to. Unicellular. If this is a new word that I don't know the meaning to, you know that I like to break the word down into parts that I can figure out. So I know cellular is going to be something to do with a cell. Uni, what's that prefix mean? Well, I'll think of another word that has that at the beginning of it, and I think of unicycle. That's the first thing that comes to my mind. So if I think of a unicycle, how many wheels does a unicycle have? Well, if I know what that looks like, then I know that a unicycle has one wheel. So uni must mean one. So unicellular means one cell. So if I have one cell, that means that everything that cell needs to do happens in that single cell. So if I think about me in my life, I have cells, I have brain cells, I have heart cells, I have lung cells. But if I'm unicellular, if I only have one cell, then I don't have the ability to have those differentiated cells. So that means everything that those organs or those cells are responsible for, brain cells, heart cells, lung cells, that's got to happen in that single cell. So unicellular organisms have a lot going on in them. If you're unicellular, these organisms grow, but they don't develop. So they get bigger, but they don't change a lot. And what happens is unicellular organisms like this bacteria here, whenever they grow to a certain size, they just split and they make new cells. So they don't become two because they grow so big. What happens is they grow so big and then they say, okay, that's as big as I can get. I got to split and make some more. So unicellular organisms grow to a certain point, but they don't develop. Multicellular, write this down. You don't have to draw the picture unless you just want to. So if you're multicellular, that prefix multi, that means more than one. So I don't like it. Sometimes people say if you're multicellular, you're made up of a bunch of cells. I don't like that because technically, if you have more than one cell, if you have two cells, I don't think two is a bunch, but if you're made up of two cells, you are multicellular. So I like to say more than one cell. Also, the cool thing about multicellular organisms is they are specialized. That means that they have different organelles that do different functions or they do different jobs. And they look different too. So let's think about different jobs that exist in the real world. Let's get away from cells for a second. In the real world, I could have a farmer, I could have a doctor, I could have a janitor. So if I think about those three, farmer, doctor, janitor, think about what they do. They do different things. They're specialized. They understand a different subset of information. A farmer would probably not be a good doctor, and a doctor would probably not be a good farmer. Also, think about how they dress when they go to work. If a farmer showed up in a suit and tie or in scrubs, that would be really, really strange. I would not trust that farmer because clearly they don't know what they're doing. So, whenever you do different jobs, you look different, and that's fine. You're supposed to fit that job that you're supposed to be doing. That's the same thing with cells, with their organelles, the things inside of them that make them up, that help them function. Also, if you're multicellular, you grow and you develop. We talked about that in characteristics of life. If you grow, you get bigger, you increase your number of cells. Like, for example, you are probably taller now than you were when you were first born. If not, that's weird. And they also develop. So I talked about that. I said that my baby, whenever he was first born, he really didn't do much. Then he learned how to roll over. Then he learned how to walk or crawl and then walk. And now he's wild and he can do whatever he wants. Also, write this down. This is really important. Multicellular organisms are organized in a very specific way. So we start out, we're going to say you have cells. Whenever you put a bunch of cells together, you form a tissue. When you put a bunch of tissues together, you form an organ. When you put organs together, you make an organ system. And when you put organ systems together, you get a multicellular organism. So the reason that, well, I have this question, could unicellular organisms ever have an organ system? Well, the answer is no, because they only have one cell. So you can't have a tissue unless you have a group of cells. So groups of cells come together to form tissues. Tissues come together to form organs and so on, as you can see in that flow chart. An example of that would be in my body, I have heart cells. I have cardiac cells. If I have one of them, it'll split and grow and grow and grow, and now I have a bunch of heart cells. That will make a heart tissue. Then as that tissue, if they come together, I see another heart tissue, and I'm going to get together. Okay, cool, they can make an organ. That organ they're going to make is the heart. Whenever I have my heart working with my veins and my arteries and my lungs, I have an organ system. Then as my organ systems work together, I'm going to have a multicellular organism or a fully functioning body. You don't have to write this down, but you are multicellular. Your body is made up of systems that work together to make you. That's really important. So now we're going to look at some different body systems. This is nowhere near all of them, but these are just a few that we're going to touch on. So go ahead and write this down. Don't have to draw the picture. But the circulatory system, that transports oxygen and nutrients to cells, and it also removes waste from cells. So it's going to move some stuff around, and the way it does that is through your heart, your arteries, and your veins. Those are what we're going to say are the organs that are part of the circulatory system, some of the organs. There may be more in these. Again, this isn't a very full description of every single body system that we have, but this is just a brief synopsis of some of them. So in my circulatory system, I'm going to move stuff around specifically through my blood. So blood is the thing, it's the carrier that's going to move through your heart and through your arteries and your veins. So next, digestive system. Write this down. So it breaks down food into a form that cells can use, and it removes solid waste from your body. You know that. Some organs are your mouth, your esophagus, your stomach, and your intestines. The next one we'll look at is the excretory system, and it removes liquid waste from the body. So that is different. If you look at the digestive system, it says it removes solid waste. Your excretory is the liquid waste. So that's two separate things. Some organs could be your sweat glands, your kidneys, and your bladder. So usually people think of the kidneys and bladder when they think about getting rid of liquid waste, but you forget about the sweat glands. That's really important. We talked about how sweating is a way to cool your body. And that doesn't just get water out of your body, that's also the nastiness that's inside of it, some waste that's in liquid form. So, and we talked about that. Well, I don't know if we talked, I don't remember if I said it in the video, but in class, I always mention about how if you're sweaty playing outside and you lick your lip, you can taste that sweat. It's gross. It's not just water. So, delicious. So the next one, write this down, muscular system. It moves the body. So you have two different types of muscles. You have voluntary muscles and you have involuntary muscles. So voluntary muscles, you control them. Like if you want to kick a soccer ball, you choose to kick that ball. And you have involuntary muscles, which are automatic. So, for example, you don't have to think about causing your heart to beat. It just does that automatically. And you have three types of muscles. You have skeletal muscles, you have smooth muscles, and you have cardiac muscles. So skeletal muscles, that's going to be like your bones and things like that. Your smooth muscles are going to be a lot of your organs, like your intestines and your stomach. Your cardiac muscle, that is your heart. That's all it is. So next we have your nervous system, and that detects and responds to changes in the environment. It transmits information throughout your body. And some pieces of the nervous system are the brain, the spinal cord, and the nerves. So you actually have a peripheral nervous system and your central nervous system. Your central nervous system is going to be the stuff at the top of the picture straight down. So that's going to be your brain and your spinal cord. Your peripheral nervous system, that's going to be your extremities. So like we talked about before, if you touch something hot, you're going to feel that, oh no, it's hot. You're going to move your hand away. That's thanks to your nervous system. Next, we have your respiratory system. That is gas exchange. So that's oxygen and carbon dioxide being exchanged. You breathe in oxygen, you breathe out carbon dioxide. That's respiration. And that's your breathing. So some organs are your lungs and your diaphragm. And that gets very, very complicated. You can see there in that picture, it's got a bunch of crazy words. You won't have to learn those, don't worry. But if you were to take anatomy in college or in high school, if they offer it, Yeah, you're probably going to learn that. Cool stuff. So write this down. This is very, very important. You have an open system. All your body systems, that is an open system. That means your body systems work together to sustain your life. So open systems allow for like your brain to interact with all other organs. It's not just your brain and then other stuff. A closed system is the opposite of that, where whatever happens only affects that system. That means all of our body systems can work together, and they have to do that so we can live. So that is it for this set of notes. If you have any questions, just let me know. We are very shortly going to look at how our systems work together, and we're going to solve a medical mystery.